So we already kind of went over it, but we'll go over it in detail. Our workout today is the HomeWOD, or the number 3 of the support your local box. We're going to start with just 2 rounds through of the warm-up. And for this, you may need a timer. You also need a timer for our afterburn as well. So you can grab that now, just because you're going to need it later if you don't have one. But we're going to go through 2 rounds. It's going to be a 20-second Samson hold, 10 good mornings, 10 walking lunges or lunges in place, 10 squat jumps, and then it's going to be a 20-second hold overhead with the weight that you're going to use for your thrusters. So just to go over that, I will start the timer for the first round so that we're all on the same page, but it's the Samson stretch is here, where you're just looking for the stretch in this part. And then good mornings, we're gonna do 10 of them. If you don't have anything to put on your back rack, it's totally fine. Just keep your arms right glued to your side so they stay at the same angle, and you're just gonna press into your hinge and stand tall, press into your hinge, stand tall. So just looking to light up your glutes and your hamstrings a little bit. And then you're gonna do lunges all the way down and back. You're gonna get 10 right, 10 left, 20 total. If you need to, you could stand at the front and go backwards and reverse. And then it's gonna be 10 squat jumps. Make sure your feet are wide enough, and you're gonna go full squat, little jump. We're very familiar with those after last week, but those will be very good for your thrusters. The last thing we're gonna do every round of the warm-up, which again is just 2, so you're gonna do a 20-second overhead hold with the dumbbell or weight that you're gonna use for your single arm thrusters. So you have to get it there safely, and then you're really just gonna hold, pressing up and squeezing your ribs in, and you're gonna hold and try to breathe through that full extension, keeping the glutes on and stable. So 20 seconds right, 20 seconds left on both of those holds. And the warm-up, we'll start with that Samson stretch. So if you wanna find your space and get started with your Samson stretch, it'll just be a 20 seconds on either side. So 20 seconds, arms reaching straight up if you can, but make sure you keep your ribs down. So KB, you're kind of more in a runner's lunge where you're sinking forward. You want that knee right underneath your hips, right underneath your shoulders, and then you think about on that right side almost squeezing your glute. Squeeze your glute and tuck your tailbone under on your right, and you can really feel your hip flexor really light up. That's really good. So just pressing into that, you can go ahead and just step and switch sides. So just find your knees, and then the other comes forward. It's about finding that really stacked position. Just a few deep breaths with length, reaching and pressing. And then from there, you'll go into 10 good mornings. So if you have a bar or something, you can put it on your back rack. Otherwise, just hold your strong core. So it's bracing the core, finding your hinge. We want to make sure you're really pressing into your toes, lighting up your hamstrings. Try to keep your hips up high. Just getting 10. And then after 10 of those, it's gonna be 10 lunges, right and left. So these should get us ready for those box step ups, being unilateral. Really focus on flat foot in the front, driving through that full foot. Good, and then we're gonna just go for 10 jump squats. So try to get a little jump in there, Jillian, driving all the way through the heel. There you go. We want the explosiveness of a thruster as you drive out of that strong supported squat. And then when you're done with that, you're gonna grab your weight, get it over your head and practice stabilizing your whole core. We want a good 20 seconds on each side. And just working to keep the ribs down. Working to find stability. Think about squeezing your glutes. It goes back. Hug it in tight. Push it up. No elbows bent. Squeeze and press. Just 20 seconds. And then you can bring it down and switch sides. We just want to get practice with that overhead position, really warming up your shoulders, getting you knowing what you're looking for at the top of your single arm thrusters. So that's one round. We're only going to do 2 rounds, but you can get right into your second round, starting with the Samson stretch again on your left and right. Again, look to just find a strong core. If your body's really craving that runner's lunge, you could like sit into it before you switch sides, or sink down into it and kind of come back to that big, I don't know what the difference would be. I mean, there's difference, big difference between a runner's lunge and this lunge. I just don't know what to call this lunge. The captain. Just looking to connect upper and lower body. Good, Jillian. Really fire up the hamstrings. Make sure there's no change in your back. Brace your core. Inhale as you press your hips back, and exhale as you stand. Good. 10 good mornings into 10 walking lunges right and left. Those look great, KB. Good, just 10 squat jumps and then one more hold on each side. We'll move into thrusters next. So again, we just want to activate that upper body overhead position. There you go, Megan. Nice job. Oh, we lost Zach. He must have moved inside. I bet he's doing a change of scenery right now. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go through our dumbbell thrusters, which will kind of warm us up in our thrusters and build us up in that capacity. So we're going to go through a set on each side, and we're going to do 4 of everything, and it's going to be front squat, and then it will be push press, and then it will be thrusters. So what that's going to be is you're going to rack one-sided. We want to keep the elbow in, keep it up nice and high, and keep your core on. So you're going to get 4 squats where you go all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. Think about inhale, exhale. Then you're going to get 4 push press. For that, remember, it's a little dip, big drive, but we want to keep the dip quick. So it's dip, drive, press. Again, little dip, drive, press. And then you're going to move, once you get 4 of those, into 4 thrusters. So I'm going to receive that bell, come down with it, brace, and explode, press. So 4, 4, 4. Squat, push press, and then thruster. We'll do 1 set on each side. And this should make you feel confident with the weight you're using. Feel a little stronger about being under it. Make sure your feet are wide enough that you can press your hips down with keeping your brace. Good. Little tiny quick dip. There you go, Jill. That was a better one. And then we go all the way down, squeeze and press all the way up. Good, KB. Think about those ribs. Try to pull those ribs in at the top. That's the fight. Squeeze. There you go. Good job, Jason. I can't see your overhead, but I bet it's great. Make sure you're squeezing your glutes when you go all the way up. Good, Megan. You got to arch in your back. Pull those ribs in. Just think about activating the front side, squeezing your glutes. Good. All right. So those should feel pretty spicy, but at the same time, they're doable. At the very least, you should be able to cycle through sets of maybe 5 on each side. I had huge ambitions, but it turned out to be like 10 on each side and then 5 on each side, and then I did 7 and 3. But in the end, you will have to do 50 total. And of course, we do want to kind of split that evenly. If you were going to split it unevenly, I would say give more work to your bad side. If you really wanted to split it unevenly, it would be intentionally trying to help yourself, not trying to favor yourself. So Zach's back. All right. I can't hear you, but I bet you had some difficulties. He's still talking. I'm gonna unmute you. I want to hear about it. All right, let's hear.
The computer died, so then I tried to use my phone, and then my phone wouldn't work, so then I had to find the charger.
Zoom problems.
All right, sorry.
That's okay. We warmed up our thrusters. You might want to. But what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves set up. When you're doing your 50 dumbbell deadlifts, you're holding 2 dumbbells and they're going to the outsides of your knees. So that means, like I said earlier, for me, the hard part was not the legs of a deadlift. It was, I don't want my dumbbells to go in front of me like this because then I'm pulling from a bad position. I want to fight to keep my dumbbells as close to in line with my toes as I can, and then stand tall. So we've got 50 dumbbell deadlifts. You might want to practice a couple. Then it's 50 ab mat sit-ups. You might want to practice a couple just spatially. 50 box step up. Those are just alternating through for 50. So wherever your box is, it would be 1, stand tall, step down, alternate, 2, stand tall, step down. So we do want full range of motion here. We want to get all the way up, all the way down every time, alternate through for 50. Then the last thing is those single arm dumbbell thrusters. However you want to break it up, we would like to get 25 and 25. So we're just gonna plow through that work as fast as you can. Does anybody have any questions?
What if you have one dumbbell?
Oh no. What I would suggest is find something heavier for your deadlifts and then use the dumbbell for your thrusters. Does that work?
Yeah.
I wouldn't go crazy heavy on those deadlifts though. Like if you have that 95-pound bar, that'd be perfect.
Okay.
Because that would be less than like the 50-pound dumbbells would be a lot. That'd be like 100 pounds, but way more because it's on a dumb or separate. So I think 95 pounds or whatever.
I'll just do that inside so I don't have to lug.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Totally fine. Whatever works for you.
We're twinning.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. All right. So Jill, do you understand?
Are we doing all 50 and then moving to the next thing?
Yeah. So it's like going to be a chipper, like the long list that you kind of chip your way through. The last thing will be the 50 of the thrusters, which is definitely the hardest and longest, but
yeah, it's gonna be great.
Don't let those deadlifts fool you. There's something too. All right. So as long as everybody's ready, I will get this timer under control. And we're going to start with our first set, which is 50 dumbbell deadlifts. And of course, if you need to take breaks, you put it down, take a break, but then finish your 50 before you go on to your sit-ups. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Support your local box. 50 reps. Ooh, Zach, I can tell you when you start and we can take that time off your time. It'll be perfect. We'll see if you can catch everybody. Good, KB. The fight is keeping it close to you. We don't want to crush your toes, but we do want to come down to the ground if you can. Good, Zach. Zach, we're going to take 40 seconds off your time. I'm writing it down right now. All right. 50 deadlifts. Oh, I'm lying. 50 seconds off your time. Why not start? All right. Keep breathing. Make sure you're keeping your core really tight and stacked. Good. Think about keeping your chin tucked so your spine comes all the way through the top of your head. Good, Jillian. All right, Jillian's done 50 in 1:24. That's pretty impressive. Nice work. Right into those sit-ups for 50. There you go, Zach. Keep it close. Keep pressing it into yourself. Inhale down, exhale up. Just move with it. All right, Jason's with you. KB's with you on the sit-ups. Nice job. Yeah, Zach. Keep breathing. Come on, Zach. Right back to it. You're almost there. Strong, strong core. Keep pressing that floor. Floor presses. 2 minutes in for you, Zach. Nice job. Woo! There you go. 50 sit-ups. We're gonna have to take another 10 seconds off. Travel time. At least you don't have to go back. All right, Jillian. All the way up, all the way down, alternating through. 50 total. You're gonna burn through this, Jill. Nice job. Yeah, Megan? Good, make sure you stand up tall, Jill. Open the hips, open the knees. Keep it up, Jason. Keep squeezing, reaching. Come on, KB. Steady pace, you got it. Nice fight, Megan. All right, step ups. Try to just keep your pace. Try to not take breaks. You can walk up this mountain. It's really just a little hill. We're just 5 minutes in, guys. You're doing great. All right, Jillian, 25 in the right and 25 in the left. Break it up however you need to. Make sure you stay tight and breathe all the way down, all the way up. Yes, keep that tension. Woo! Nice set. There you go, squeeze, press. All right, Zach. Stand tall. There you go, Jillian. Keep fighting through. Squeeze, press. 6:10 on the clock. Yeah, Jill? Keep fighting. 6:39. You've got this. Stay in it. Woo! Nice fight, Jill. KB's in the thruster world. Nice job, KB. Great connection to the floor. Yeah, Jill, 7:24 was at the end. Yes, nice job. You guys are fast. Nice job, Jill. Take a little recovery time. We're gonna do an afterburn. KB, that's a fantastic squat. Keep your back nice and strong. Keep it up, Jason. Yeah, Megan. It's a big step for a little girl. Nice work, KB. $8:24 on the clock. Just think how far over the hump you are, guys. You got it, Megan. Here we go, Jason and KB. You guys are in the end. Fight through, fight through. You're doing great. 9 minutes on the clock. You guys are speedy. Here you go, KB. There you go, Megan. Let's go, KB. 9:27 on the clock. That's you, Jason. 9:27. Way to go, Jason. That was fast. KB done at 9:40. Megan in the end. Nice job, Megan. I'm going to assume Zach's right there with you. Well, he has a dead computer. Good, Megan. Great work. There you go. Fight that right knee nice and wide, Megan. You got this. Stand, squeeze, press. Yeah, Megan? We got 10:34 on the clock. You're doing great. Here we go. Let's get another set. Left and right. You got this. One, two, three, four. Good. Squeeze. Nice set. Keep it up. Yes, Megan. Awesome work. You're almost there now, Megan. Get another 10. You got this. Good. You got this, Megan. Woo! Great lockout. Great fight. Almost there now. 3. You got it. You got it. Strong squeeze press. That's 12 minutes on the clock. You're donezo. Nice work, Megan. All right, guys. Let me just go ahead. I'm going to unmute you all. So how was that? I would like to say that you guys are just really effing fast, eh? Because Megan, you may have been by yourself at the end, but you still beat me by 41 seconds. So, yeah, that was awesome. Obviously, I can't speak for everybody when I say that the thrusters were the hardest part, but what about you guys? What'd you think, KB?
Yeah, I think the thrusters were hard. At first, I was like, my deadlifts didn't feel as right because they're just different doing it like that. But then I finally got into a rhythm and I was touching the floor. But yeah, the thrusters I think were
hardest. What about the rest of yous? Although, Megan, did you think the sit-ups were the hardest?
The thrusters got me out of breath the most. The sit-ups, they just take me so long and I get so frustrated.
I was so proud of you there.
But
Awesome, Megan.
Step-ups are hard because that
was a high box for you. Yeah. You're working with the same height that everybody else is working with today. So, and you're a little shorter.
I nasal breathe that. So
you nasal breathe?
Yeah, I've nasal breathed everything since I've been away. So
yeah, that's great though.
Focus on my breath, and I found that it was like hard. If I was going faster than my breath, it was hard for me to count because I tend to count my breaths to keep me in a rhythm.
Well,
and
also when you
lost count on my step-ups.
Yeah, when you're focusing on your breathing, you tend to like move with it. Like your inhale goes with one direction, your exhale goes with the other. So it just becomes natural, that one breath per movement. So it becomes a good way of counting. But then it shows you too, like when you get off kilter, move too fast or breathe too fast or one of the other, it like makes your work harder, you know? So it's like a matter of like getting in that flow state, which, you know, you quite obviously were kind of in because you didn't take breaks. You just move slow.
I find that I recover at the end so much. Like I'm not
you're fine. You can go do something right now.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference between nasal and not. Like, because nasal just keeps you in check with your pace. Anyways, we're going to get into, I'm going to go ahead and mute you all again. And we're going to get into our afterburner. And you guys can ask questions if you have them. But we're going to go through 3 rounds of this finishing work. And there's only one little bit of work, and then the other bit's more of like recovery work. So every round, you're going to do 5 lateral lunges on each side. That's a total of 10. And then you're going to spend 30 seconds on each leg doing front scales, and then 30 seconds on each leg doing back scales. So I'll go over that. Your lateral lunges, again, we want to be really, really wide so that you can press all the way down, keeping your chest really up, and then you'd find the other side. So this other heel can be down, toes can be up, or your foot can be down, whatever feels best. Only go as far as you can keep your core support. If it's a little shallow, that's okay. Look for tension. Those should take you some time. Those are hard, but we're doing a lot of them, so we're all going to be getting better at them. And then you're going to spend 30 seconds right, 30 seconds left with front scales. Front scales are you're just standing tall in this neutral plane, like so just upright. And then front scales is just simply lifting your leg to the front and working on stabilizing the rest of your core. So maybe I lift it up and hold and practice that, or maybe I just practice seeing how high I can take it, pointing and flexing. I'm going to spend 30 seconds right, 30 seconds left. And then you're going to do the same thing on the back side. Back scales are you find your neutral core, and rather than lifting to the front, I'm hinging to the back. So I want to keep from my right heel to my right shoulder nice and stable, and I'm working on just hinging forward, coming back with control. As you get better, you'll find you can press farther, and you're going to find it's very different on either side. So spend 30 seconds on either side. So that's what we'll get through, and I'll just watch you like a creeper.
Is it 30 seconds left and right? Or
yeah, so you'll spend a minute on each side.
Okay.
Or on each plane. Good, Jill. Chest is up. You're just fighting to sit into the squat on one side. You'll probably find a little bit easier to get into that squat if your stance is really, really wide. So the wider you are, the easier it is for you to press down. Good, Megan. Flat foot, really thinking about tracking that knee nice and wide, keeping it over the toes. And some days these will feel easier than others. Just 5 right, 5 left, Jason, yeah. And then you're gonna go into your scales. So just kind of watching a clock, doesn't have to be exact, but stand up tall. See how easy it is for you to function. You know, it's about control and balance and just the ability to move without affecting the rest of your body. Try to really work on locking out that back knee if possible. Play around with the difference between a pointed foot and a flexed foot. Try not to do anything fast. It's all controlled and smooth. And take that full 30 seconds on one side and then switch to the other side and just dig around and play around on that side. Want to just stand up tall and lift the leg out straight. So it's really a lot of stability, trying to keep that back leg straight. The support leg stays tight. And then we switch to back scales once you get both sides. And back scales usually end up being a little smaller because they need a lot more control in the hamstrings. Yeah, Jillian. Just work on coming back to standing with control. Make sure you're not. That's awesome. Just finding your lever. We really want to be able to just hinge. And it's going to be very different on each side depending on how sticky your hips are, how well connected you are to those movements. Good, control it. So Megan, only take it as far as you can control back to standing. Good. So these can be fun to play with. Just get about 30 seconds right, 30 seconds left. And then again, we're gonna go into the Cossack squats or the lateral lunges and play around with your stance, but also maybe they feel a little bit better after like tapping in or freeing up some space, kind of breathing and moving through movement. Fighting to keep the chest up, pressing into tension, keeping that good connection with your front foot or your squatting foot rather. Good, Megan. Yes. These are great like tests of like strength and mobility in your hips. And then when you're done with those, just move back into your scales and they should feel good on your hips. So don't go past the point of your control. If you move past that point, it might start to not feel so good. Always making sure you're breathing. Good, start small. Can be very little to start. Just finding real smooth control. Try to keep that leg straight, Jill. There you go in the back. Got some tight hamstrings, Jill. But they're strong. Look what they can do. That's awesome. In those back scales, you can play around with trying to keep your hips really square and making sure you're not opening up to one side. Think about pressing your hips to the ground and keeping them level. So it's truly just a hinge forward. Your toes are the brakes, right? So you press into your toes or you grab the floor with your feet so that you don't fall all the way forward. So that means you just have to keep pushing into them. Good, Megan. Gorgeous line, nice strong back. All right, KB, one more set, 3 rounds total. So nice, really wide stance. Try to breathe. Inhale as you press into it, and exhale, come to center. Or you can reverse your breathing, but make sure you're getting that full deep breath. There's Bosco making his crossing. All right, coach. You come say hi.
Is it 3 rounds, Rachel?
Yes, ma'am. One more to go. Awesome, Jason. Those look great. Getting down nice and deep. Work on that nice, strong tension. Nothing ever gets sloppy. Just pressing into it. Megan, those are great depth. Good. And your scales, just keep breathing. Keep your breath flowing. There you go, Jason. Great, Jill. Just practice the breathing. Keep on flowing through your breath. There you go, Jason. That side looks controlled. Oh, it's a good boy. All right. As you guys kind of finish up, I'm going to unmute you, some of you. Jill, how'd that feel for you?
Good, except for the front scales.
The front scales?
I just feel like it wasn't a balance issue. It was just my leg would not go any higher.
I think it looks like your hamstrings are really tight because I noticed that you have a hard time keeping your back legs straight in those front scales. Did you notice that at all?
Yeah.
So when you come up or when you start to lift your leg up, your back leg kind of goes like that. I mean, that's a little more pronounced than you do here. So it's like when I straighten out, I can feel that connection to my hamstrings and my glutes, but it could be that the quad as well when you lock your leg out. I'm not really sure, but I would focus on trying to press into that back leg more and seeing how far you can take it before you feel that kind of loss of control or that, you know, like you said, it wasn't balanced, but whatever it was that felt awkward. Just to fish around. These are kind of like those types of movements. It's kind of fun to see, like they're so simple. It's, you know, like lift your leg. You know, that's all we're doing. Stand there and lift your leg. It's so simple, but it's like, why is it so different on this side versus that side? Well, something's wrong. Like, you know, so you can kind of feel some of those minuscule differences. And these are like simple movements. So it's like the little tiny muscles that are just kind of simply supposed to do this. Sometimes they just simply can't because the other big muscles are, so it's kind of your way of connecting to those, just kind of freeing up some stuff. Sometimes just breathing and hinging with no weight feels nice too. We put weight to it so much. KB, how'd it feel for you?
I definitely noticed one side was different than the other and I got really hot.
You got really hot. Yeah, that's good. And the lateral lunges, like I feel like they're never going to get easy, right? They're kind of like the type of thing that it's like if you can do that every day, like your mobility is on point. You know, there are some days for myself that I feel like I can't really sink into them on one side, But the fact that you can do them is like huge because it just requires so much. And I can't forget, like, going to my gymnastics certification, how incredibly incapable most people were of doing that. And we're talking about people who are like super into CrossFit, but it's because they just don't pay attention to the basics. And it's like, if you can use that as like kind of a gauge of how well you're moving, I think that's a really safe thing to do, because I can easily see that on days that I can't do that well, I'm just not moving well, you know? So you got to kind of like check in with yourself. But it's cool to see everybody getting better at those. Another thing I wanted to bring up, I shared a little story or whatever from Active Life RX, or no, from Whiteboard Daily. And it was just a little quote about self-talk. And it was talking about using you instead of I as a pronoun in your self-talk. So when you're in your head, you've got this, you got this, you can do this, come on, you've got one more rep. You kind of want to program yourself in that way, rather than I can do this, I've got this. There's a very big, so they talked about like this study that they did where, you know, there's just a correlation between somebody saying, or in your head, you saying you've got this is a lot more positive than saying I've got this, right? Like, it's kind of like a more positive way of projecting, but it's the same kind of mental thought that, like, I have issues with, you know, I think we all do, with being nice to ourselves and like being kind to ourselves, because we're all our biggest critics. So one of the things or pieces of advice that I took from a friend, and it was just like, think about what you're saying to yourself in your head. Would you give that advice to that person you care about? You know, like when you're in your head saying, well, I this and I this, like, think about what you would say to someone you care about. You would say, you blah, 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 blah. It's the same kind of mindset, I think. So just something to think about and play around with, like while you're working out, is try to get rid of the I in your head and try to replace it with a you if you can. And in the study, they talked about like how it's a completely effortless, physical, effortless thing to do to make your work more productive. Just kind of a food for thought, fun thing of the day.
I like it.
Yes.
I use that with Aspen too.
Huh?
I'll use that with Aspen too when she's doing it.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like I'm really nasty to myself.
She's just like,
And then
she's like, I can't.
Yeah. And if you catch yourself saying something really nasty to yourself in your head, and then you check yourself, like, would you tell your best friend that you care about? No. Well, you should care about yourself. So you should not say that to yourself. Anyways, so you guys did great. And if you're doing the online or if you're participating in the, you know, weekly challenge on CrossFit.com, don't forget to enter your score. This is the last one, I think. But that was fun anyways. Anybody have any questions about things going on?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm coming in. Bye, guys.
Oh.
Thank you.
Bye. All right. So I would have told KB because she's the one who asked for it, but I did post all of our recurring meetings to the top of that Facebook page. So they're kind of pinned at the top if you need them.
Which way?
It says Zoom links on the Swan Donkey page. It should be pinned there forever, you know?
Not for me.
Well,
Will my emails work the whole time though?
yeah. The links won't change. She was just having trouble finding them, and it's like, well, they don't change. So once you find it, you're good. All right.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Good job.